Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you all are getting your week started off right. It is a lovely day here in Austin, Texas, and for once, it's below 90 degrees. That's right. Had a little bit of a cold snap come in last night. It was like 60-something tonight. My daughter, when I took her to school, actually had to put on a jacket. I was a little chilly myself on the walk, so it's kind of nice now. So now it's like high 70s, I think, right now at about 2 o'clock. Real nice day. I think, after I pick her up from school, maybe see if my daughter wants to go to the park for a little while. Just enjoy, like I said, one of the better days we've had in months after, this hot summer. So, I'm out enjoying the day. Hopefully you guys are too, of course. A lot of stuff to talk about. Definitely New York Comic-Con was this past weekend. Some good stuff came out about that, as well as, of course, the Joker. I'm going to talk about that here in just a little bit. I'm also going to talk about Batwoman that premiered on Sunday night, the new Arrowverse / CW show. I want to share my thoughts on that. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit of Star Wars. Of course, being that I love Star Wars, and all these Star Wars things are vastly approaching. We had Force Friday, that was this past Friday. I went to my local Walmart and Target and checked out a few things, and they had pretty much zilp, zero, nada. A little disappointed on that. So then I went to the Disney store, and they had a couple of cool things. I ended up getting a t-shirt for my daughter. I got the collectible Mandalorian pin. And then because I spent $20 on Star Wars stuff, I got the Star Wars posters of Rise of Skywalker, Jedi Fallen Order, and Mandalorian. So again, like I've said before, I don't really indulge too much in it unless I see something really cool. But, I kind of one of those prints, so I got those from the Disney store, and that works out for me. I'm sure there's other Star Wars stuff that I will buy later on, but just not right now. However, this morning I went in and I pre-ordered Jedi Fallen Order for the PlayStation 4. Of course, this week I finally got a PlayStation 4 because I want to get it for Jedi Fallen Order, getting that all set up. I also got a new NHL game for it, which I'm excited for that too. But of course, the week I do that is when PlayStation and Sony come out with their big PlayStation 5 announcement that they're going to be coming out next year with PlayStation 5. So go figure. But anyway, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Jedi Fallen Order, of course. I pre-ordered it. Now I just got to wait for it to come, and that's going to be really exciting. So, sticking with Star Wars, also a couple days ago, you had Season 2 of Star Wars Resistance premiere, and actually you can watch the first episode on YouTube. A lot of cable shows I know do this. Showtime does it quite a bit with their shows like Shameless or what was the other one with Liev Schreiber in it? Ray Donovan. Kind of a preview where they want you to watch it, like it, and then go sign up for their subscription service or their cable channel or whatever. Try to entice you to, watch more, so to speak. But anyway, as far as Star Wars Resistance, I had always been very hesitant about the show. I knew it was leaning more towards a younger demographic than, say, Star Wars Rebels or even the later seasons of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And when it first premiered, I checked out the first couple episodes, and I kind of felt that way, so I stopped watching it. Then it came out on DVD, and I got it from the local library, which, by the way, guys, I keep saying this, if you're not utilizing your local public library and you live in a major city or a decent sized city, please do so, okay? I get so many TV shows and movies and graphic novels that, are free that I get to keep for a week or two and then give them back. It's really a great thing. Please support your local library because, that's how a guy like me who consumes a lot of media, that's how I'm able to consume it without, costing everything I have on my paycheck. But anyway, Star Wars Resistance, I got the first season, and it did start off slow. And I finished it off probably about a week or two ago. And I will say, most of it is like, for my age, as a middle-aged man, most of it's not exactly interesting. I could say you could take the first couple episodes and then skip maybe to episode like 16 and 17 and be okay. I mean, really, it's around, I think, episode 16 or 17 when it really starts to pick up the overall arc of the season, and it's not just Kaz's hijinks. Every episode, those early to mid-season, it was just like, okay, Kaz is, doing something silly this time. What kind of predicament is he in? And, how is he going to act all silly? It was not what I wanted to see, but when the season arc actually picked up and we got towards the end, those last 5 or 6 episodes I thought were really good storytelling. Of course you had to have the build up of the characters to care about them throughout the whole season. I get it, but by the end of season 1 I wanted to watch season 2, so I did watch season 2 on YouTube for free, and I love what they've done as far as setting up again, the characters. The most interesting one for me is, of course, of Tam, who, when she finds out that all her friends have been lying to her and keeping secrets from her, she, feels more compelled to go with the First Order and starts working for them. And, that's always good in Star Wars when you get the, I want to say, Imperial side of things, and what is the mindset of someone who works for an organization like, say, the Empire or the First Order, and why are they doing it? What is their mindset as to why they think they are the good guys over people like, say, the Rebels, the Republic, the Resistance? And we went on that journey with Tam at the end of season 1, and I think it's going to be continue to be a major storyline, if not my favorite storyline I'm looking forward to in season 2 for this final season of Star Wars Resistance. And I like to in this season that now everything's kind of changed to where before you were on a refueling station in the middle of this planet surrounded by water. Now the fueling station is a spaceship, a broken down spaceship pretty much, and they're out fleeing from the First Order who is after them. They're trying to catch the Resistance, who we know at this point is post the events of Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and there's a little preview that we've seen that's on YouTube where they actually get to the car where the rebels were and they were gone, and you see that, we're already at least in the events of Episode 8, The Last Jedi, what happens to our heroes from them. Having now actually gotten invested in the characters, I'm interested to see where this season goes. Now, I'll try to watch it as much as I can, without trying to pay an arm and a leg to watch it. I know I can buy the season on Amazon or YouTube if I wanted to. I've done that a couple of times with several shows lately, and I might end up doing that. Otherwise, I got to pay for like cable or Hulu Live, and that's just way too much for my blood. But I'll try to keep up with it. If not, that's fine. But I want to know what you think. Did you see the first episode of season 2 of Star Wars Resistance? What do you think about the show? My wife tried to watch a little bit of it with me at the end of season 1, and she couldn't get into it. She loves Rebels, she likes Clone Wars, but she just couldn't get into those first couple episodes that she saw. But to be fair, I sat down and I watched the whole season where she was just kind of poking in and out. Another friend of mine that I met at Star Wars Celebration, Scotty White, he told me, give it a chance, wait till the other episodes later on. And I did, and he was right. It did get better, so I'll give him credit for that. But, it's another Star Wars show, knowing that it's also the final season of it and that it's taking place right next to the events of, say, Episode 8, it looks like at this point. Curious to see, of course, what's going to happen. We did see Captain Phasma at the beginning of this episode, so I think it's safe to say that by the end of this season, Phasma might not be around for this one. But fire back, guys, of course. Let me know what you think about Star Wars Resistance. All right, next up, heading over to the CW, guys, Batwoman, the newest series on the Arrowverse, on the CW, premiered Sunday night, right, I don't know if it was before or after Supergirl. I mean, I watch them on the CW app. And I posted this on Twitter and on Facebook last night as I'm watching the episode. Last season with the CW shows, I watch all the Arrowverse shows. Supergirl, Black Lightning, Legends Tomorrow, Flash, Arrow. And if you watch them on the CW app, they have commercials. And you have like 10 minutes of commercials per episode. And I hate it. That's why last season, about midway through the season, I stopped watching them, and I just waited till they came on Netflix and finished off the seasons too. And now we have Batwoman, a 6th show that I have to watch on the CW app. maybe not for long, but I'll get to that in just a sec. But just pains me, where I can easily hop over to Netflix or Amazon or Hulu that I pay a little extra money for no commercials. And, in the time it would take me to, say, watch 3 episodes of Batwoman, I could head over, and watch four episodes of, say, Arrow previous seasons or something like that. So it gets me a little irked about the commercials. And I said online, I would pay the CW about $5 a month, maybe even a little more than that, if I could get commercial free. If I could take these 6 shows that I watch, technically 5, and, not have to pay for the commercials, I mean, I'm saving myself almost an hour of television if, I save all that time just per week with all these shows. So that little irks me a little bit. But getting back to actual Batwoman, I haven't been really looking forward to this show. I mean, I saw her in the Elseworlds, and that was her introduction. I get that. Batwoman, of course, is a character, though. I know who she is. I'm not a big fan of her just because mainly I feel like I'm not the target demographic. I mean, again, middle-aged white male, a woman who's like Batman and, is of the LGBT community, not exactly aiming directly at me, but I do like that there's a character like her out there. I did enjoy her role in Batman Bad Blood, the animated movie, which, I enjoy that movie just in general, so I liked her in that. That was probably my biggest exposure to the character, was that animated movie. And I read, little detective comics with her and stuff like that, but nothing too big. So anyway, moving on to the actual show, episode 1 came out, and, it was going to be kind of an origin where this character of Kate Kane, who is Bruce Wayne's cousin, she gets kicked out of the academy. I want to say military academy, perhaps. They just say the academy, from what I remember, because of her relationship with another person, Sophie. And Sophie decides that she's going to sign the contract so she can stay in the academy. Kate refuses to sign it, so she gets kicked out. And then her father, former Mission Impossible 2 villain, Dougray Scott, is her dad and ships her off to where what he considers training, because he has his own security firm that he started ever since Batman left and Gotham has stayed rough in the streets, that helps protect the city. Kate returns after, I don't know what kind of training she was on. I think we'll probably get more into that. And her ex-girlfriend Sophie's been taken by the current villain of Gotham, Alice. And then, of course, Kate finds the Batcave, hooks up with Luke Fox, and, is about to start her own journey to being Batwoman. Okay, so to break this down, of course, a little bit, I'm going spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, just don't worry about it. You're not missing much. But there was the childhood trauma of Kate, where she was in a car accident with her mom and sister, and they both died, and she survived. Her dad remarried, and she's got a stepsister. What's her name? It is Mary, I think, right? It's Mary? Yeah. And then her stepmom. But, of course, you come to find out the villain, Alice, who is, a take on the Mad Hatter, who's a Batman villain. That's her sister that's supposedly dead. And they could not have kept that hidden worse, okay? I mean, almost like halfway through the episode, I could tell this was her sister. It was so horribly, so at the very end when they did the little twist, and I'm like, oh, that was supposed to be a surprise? Oh, did somebody not know this? What? No? Okay, great. It was horribly, just you saw it coming a mile away. So for that, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a plot twist. Your villain and your hero are sisters. Great. The main character, Kate Kane, played by Ruby Rose. I haven't had a lot of exposure to the actress. So I really don't have anything against her, except for the fact that in the Elseworlds crossover last year, I didn't like her very much. And now I like her less because I don't think she's a good actress. I mean, I could go back and watch the pilots, and I have watched the pilots of, say, Arrow or The Flash on multiple occasions. I've even seen the pilot for Supergirl at least twice. And their, acting, I felt was much better in their pilot episodes than what Ruby Rose's was. And progressing from there, she could get better, of course, especially the more she plays the character. But their progression, I love, of course, Grant Gustin, Melissa Benoist, Stephen Amell. They play their characters great now after years of playing them. But they started off good, I think, too, in my opinion, as well. So while Ruby Rose may get better playing the character, from the pilot, I thought she was horrible, honestly. And it has nothing to do with the character or anything like that, or who Ruby Rose is as a person. It's just, I'm judging her by her acting abilities, and there was so little emotion in her delivery of the lines. It was just, no, thank you. Okay, no, thank you. Luke Fox gonna be her gadget guy. It looks like. Of course, Sophie's gonna be her love interest. You always gotta have that in a classic Arrowverse show where there's a love interest who doesn't know, who the hero is, like Flash, Arrow, and of course it takes them the whole season to eventually figure it out. Got that. But overall, yeah, just not impressed with it. I mean, it's obviously, I said this when they started this show, it was a way for them to try to put Batman in a TV show with actually outputting Batman in a TV show, do a female version of Batman, of course, try to get those female viewers, which is totally understandable. I'm totally fine with that. Just overall, the quality of the show, not digging it at all. I'm really not. So, I'm going to give it my patented 3 episodes. Okay, 3 episodes. And if I'm not into after that, I'm going to drop it. That's what I give every standard show, 3 episodes. If I'm not into it after 3 episodes, I'll drop it and then call it. I think the only show that, I really stopped watching after the first episode was Inhumans, because my God, was that pilot awful. My God, was that pilot awful. But anyway, fire back, of course. Let me know what you think about Batwoman if you have seen it, of course. Let me know if you think I'm way off, if you enjoyed it. What do you think about, the little twist that they allegedly had at the end there? And, of course, what do you think about her in the upcoming Arrowverse? Okay, now that we have gotten to our appetizers, it's time for the main course. This weekend, Joker finally hit theaters, starring Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips, and it broke October box office records. I think 93 million is what it made. The previous record was last year with Venom at like 80 million, maybe a little more than that. So it broke the October opening weekend box office record. And a lot of people are talking about this film. People have been talking about this film for a month now, with a lot of opinions on it. Now, this is considered a comic book film because Joker is a comic book character. I've been debating for a while now whether I believe that, mainly because of the fact that Todd Phillips, the director himself, said he took nothing from the original comic book storylines, none of the previous possible origin stories that Joker has had. Nothing, as far as his aliases. So really, in that sense, you almost could say it wasn't a comic book film. But after watching the film now, I would definitely call it a comic book film. Just, of course, to let you know, I'm going spoilers, guys. I always talk spoilers. If you haven't seen Joker, go watch the film, come back, then listen to me, because I don't hold back on this stuff, okay? This is your only warning. Now, when the Joker started off, it seemed like a very unique project, okay? First off, Martin Scorsese was going to help produce it, along with Robert De Niro, was going to be a supporting character in it, too. Joaquin Phoenix, Academy Award winner, a guy who turned down Doctor Strange, the part, because he didn't want to be multiple films, get locked into that contract as well. And then Todd Phillips, the director, who is most known for films like The Hangover and my favorite comedy of all time, Old School. He's doing this real hardcore drama. And you have this film that has a lot of people worried about how it portrays someone who invokes or inspires others to do violent things. So there was kind of that controversy about it once the film was starting to show in film festivals and kind of the mood of the film of what it is. And, I can see where all that's coming from. It's funny. All the little rumors and things people are saying about this film, I can see every point of view about how one person might think one way and one person might think another way about the film. I have my own opinions too about the film, which I'm about to share. But first, I kind of want to break down what I feel the synopsis of the film and what I feel the film is about. So you have the character of Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who is a guy who works for a clown company that, hires clowns to do certain jobs and stuff. And he lives in a very bad part of Gotham City with his mother, who he takes care of. He also has some anxiety issues, social issues that he takes medicine for and sees. I don't know what, a social worker, I guess, is what she was. Maybe a psychiatrist. I'm not quite exactly sure what her role is, because he has this nervous tic where, he laughs when he gets really nervous about something. He has a card that he hands out to apologize for it. And overall just kind of has very instability mentally, I think, is what it starts off with. From there, of course, it goes on to how someone who is like him and how society treats him, from, the people he interacts with, his coworkers, his public, the people on the train, the guys that tried to beat him up. And overall just has a lot to say about how we as a society treat a person like that, and how we treat that person might actually contribute to them being more unstable. So then throughout the course of the film, he gets down on his luck. He finds out that his mother, who's been writing to Thomas Wayne, she writes that, Arthur is his son. So he goes to see Thomas. He runs into his son, Bruce, scares him a little bit. I think the guard was supposed to be Alfred. If I remember, that's my impression of what I got. He confronts him, and Thomas said, "No, your mother's crazy. She's very unstable." And then Arthur finds the truth about that, and just kind of, a guy who was already a little unhinged becomes more unhinged, and again reached that breaking point to where he shot a couple of guys on the subway, and suddenly he's in the news, and someone who feels like he doesn't exist, that he doesn't get noticed, is everywhere. He started a movement about people unhappy with what's going on in Gotham City, much like, some things that are going on in China right now. And he starts this social movement that spreads, becomes a public figure, and by the end of the film, he, stands up on top of the cop car, and it's just, people are chanting his name, and he's embracing it. He's indulging it, because for the once he is the center of attention, and people are noticing him for doing bad things, but they know that he exists. Okay, so walking into this film, I knew that I had a little apprehension about it. It was Joaquin Phoenix, who I think is a great actor. It was a serious take on a comic book character, much more mature. It wasn't going to be your normal comic book film, much like Logan isn't your normal comic book film, even more so in this case too. I was getting the impression that we were walking into a film about a guy who, while, is a little odd, is still kind of just a normal guy who ends up through a series of events and bad things happening to him, finally has that one bad day where he snaps. However, what we got was, a story about a guy who had been abused as a child, that had affected him later on. He had mental health issues, and the way society treated him increased his insanity. So it definitely speaks on a social level about, the way we treat people like him, and just bullying in general. You had three guys on the subway that saw someone who, was down on his luck, maybe not, very stable, and what they do, they try to kick the crap out of him. Why would you do something like that unless you're a complete asshole, okay? And again, there's another issue about how the way the rich treat the poor, a little bit in there too. But again, this whole movie is about a social message on multiple levels, in my eyes. And I think it did a very good job of getting those messages across in regards to mental health, bullying in America, as far as retaliation, and how the way we continue to treat them might get them to react very badly. Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. Definitely give him a lot of props to his performance on this. I think, an Oscar nomination at the very least is in his future. One friend of mine was talking about it after I saw the film, and he's like, he deserves to get the Oscar win. And I'm like, whoa, okay. We got 3 more months, and all the Oscar potential films are just coming out. So while I think it was a great performance, and I can see him getting a nomination at the least, let's wait till the other films come out, watch them, and then we can decide what Joaquin Phoenix does or doesn't deserve or should get. But as far as his character, and should I sympathize with him, is this a guy who was just, down on his luck and people kept poking him until he, finally retaliated? I really don't feel that sympathetic for him, and, to maybe sound like an asshole, I've talked about how I'm not a big fan of the Joker or villains like him because of what they do. I'm much more of a Superman, Captain America type of guy, because those are guys that they get poked, they get hit down, they get crap kicked out of them, but they still stand up and do the right thing. And to me, that being the hardest thing to do, instead of just snapping and lashing out, in my opinion. So this character, like I said, I can't really empathize, not only on a mental level, but also an emotional level with him. Maybe I'm sounding like an asshole here, but that's just my train of thought based on my own life experience, which I know is a lot softer compared to what other people go through. And I totally, try to empathize with it. But just as a character of Arthur Fleck, I wouldn't, as a regular guy, I can see how this all happens to him. The way he thinks it all, as far as the delusions he has, especially in regards to Zazie Beetz' character that lives just down the hall from him. If they really wanted to make him more sympathetic for what he does in the film, they should have added maybe at the end there where you see Zazie Beetz watching him on TV and, seeing that he didn't possibly kill her. That would have been what I would have done to make him a little more sympathetic. But since we didn't see that little bit of redemption in him, I can't sympathize with her that much. But then again, I'm not the type of person where I see someone on a train who, can't control his laughing, and then I go and I start kicking him. That's just being a bigger asshole. So yes, I did enjoy the film. Now there was the end part there, of course, where we see the beginning of Batman. We see in the middle of all the chaos and the riots, Thomas Wayne take his family down the alley to try to avoid the riots, and then that's where the Wayne family dies, and you see young Bruce standing there. To be honest, I was very shocked that we got that scene in the film. I almost feel like they had to shoehorn it in there to just be like, hey, here's Batman. Remember, this is Batman. It's Batman. Didn't need to be in there, but I can see the connective tissue in all of it. I'll tell you what, though. It's funny, if this is, taking place in a world where Batman comes to fruition, I have the same problem with this that I do Gotham, where, all the Batman villains are adults when Batman's still a kid. So by the time Bruce becomes an adult, the Riddler and all them are elderly, and no wonder he kicks the crap out of them. It's a film that, I think people are going to see because it is related to a comic book character. I think if you took this exact same film and same story and everything, but not put Joker name on it, not include Bruce Wayne, don't give it any comic book references. Just be about Arthur Fleck, who, is, mentally unstable and, gets down on his luck and then turns to a life of crime. Leave Joker out of it. Leave Gotham out of it. This film doesn't break 40 million opening weekend. I don't think it breaks 500 million its entire run. I still think it gets Oscar buzz and award, praise. I don't think it does as well, though. That's the thing. That's kind of society we're living in right now, too, is the fact that, comic book films and superhero films are the big thing right now. So to take a film that is, something like this in very heavy, very dramatic, and if you stick on a comic book character to it, it's automatically going to get some buzz. Tell me I'm wrong. I probably am, because I'm wrong about a lot of stuff in life, but I think if this were just any other regular film that was not based on a comic book character, it doesn't do half the business it does opening weekend. It doesn't get half the buzz that it has in, the festival circuits, and it's not going to make as much money as it will potentially. Tell me I'm wrong, and I can accept it. So, okay, well, I think I've kind of reached all I can about the Joker. Again, I enjoyed the film. I like the film. Any recognition it gets, both from, acting or directing or story or whatever, when it comes award season, I totally think it deserves it. But, it's not a film I'm going to add to my collection. It's not a film I'm going to see over and over again. But again, like a lot of those award-winning films, I'm glad I saw it. The question is, what did you guys think of the Joker? Do you agree with me on some of the points I'm making? Do you think I'm totally off? Please let me know. Fire back, of course. You can comment. Just fire back. Let me know what you think, guys. Let's discuss this, okay? That's it for me today. Hopefully I'll be back Thursday, maybe even Friday, with some new stuff. I know I didn't cover any other of the New York Comic Con stuff. I want to talk about the card trailer. I want to talk about some Star Wars stuff that came out, as well as a few other things that I'm sure will pop up between now and then. So I'll be back in a couple days. Until then, guys, go out, enjoy it, live your best life, and until next time, may the Force be with us all.